Bonjour, aujourd'hui on va faire une leçon sur les petits riens. Les petits riens. You know this word petit. Petit means small. Petit rien. Rien means nothing. The little nothings. Why we call this particular lesson the little nothings or les petits riens? Because today we are going to learn a few words which we have already learned and see its usage more in depth. You know, to form a sentence with French negation, the basic structure is ne plus verbe plus pas. Like je parle, I speak, je ne parle pas, ne parle pas. So, we have also learned before vowel A, E, I, O, U or a silent H, ne becomes an apostrophe, which is called elision. So, like if you say, il n'a pas rencontré le professeur, means he did not meet the professor. In that case, ne becomes an apostrophe because the following alphabet is A. The word is A in this case. So, il n'a pas rencontré le professeur. Nous n'entendons rien. Nous n'entendons rien means we don't hear anything or we hear nothing. N'habitue pas au sucre. Don't get habituated to sugar. N'habitue pas au sucre. So, you see, like we have learned the basic way of doing negation in French is ne plus verbe plus pas. But there are other forms that we have done in our previous lessons like non rien. Non rien means nothing. So, je ne mange rien means I don't eat anything or I eat nothing. Ne que is only. Ne personne is nobody. Ne jamais is never. Ne nulle part is not anywhere. Ne plus is anymore. So, negative adverbs can be used in the position of pas after the verb. So, like in general speaking terms, you say pas encore. Jacques est arrivé. Jacques est arrivé means has Jack arrived? If you want to say no, not yet, you say pas encore. Pas encore. So, today, les petits riens are those negations which we are going to learn like different kind of dialogues and different phrases. Pas encore, which means not yet. Pas du tout means not at all. Tu aimes le chocolat? Do you like chocolate? Pas du tout. Pas du tout means not at all. Pas toujours means not always. Pas toujours. So, you see there are different forms of negation in French. Two main pronouns that can also be used to express French negation is rien, nothing, and personne means nobody. So, like we have called this particular lesson les petits riens. Les petits riens means the small nothings. We have called it small nothings because we are going to learn all the words which are related to the negation. So, rien is nothing, personne means nobody. For example, tu as mangé quelque chose? Have you eaten something? Tu as mangé quelque chose? Non, j'ai mangé rien, or you can just simply say rien. So, Another use of rien is when somebody says merci beaucoup, thanks a lot, merci beaucoup. The answer is de rien. Again, rien is used to say something in negation. And personne. So, you can say, tu as vu quelqu'un hier soir dans le jardin? Have you seen somebody in the garden yesterday? And the answer will be personne, means nobody. I saw nobody. And there are some other common expressions in French. One is pourquoi pas. Pourquoi pas means why not. Pas vraiment, not really, pas du tout, which we already learned, pas du tout, not at all, pas de problème means no problem, n'est-ce pas, isn't it so, pas trop, not too much, pas encore, not yet. So, just I will repeat it once again. So, these are the expressions that you can use verbally and also in form of dialogue. Pourquoi pas? Tu veux aller à la montagne? Do you want to go to the mountain? Pourquoi pas? Vous avez faim? Are you hungry? Pas vraiment, not really. And as I told you before, tu aimes le chocolat? Pas du tout, not at all. Then, pas de problème is another one, like, est-ce que je peux prendre ton vélo pour aller au marché? Can I take your cycle to go to the market? Pas de problème, no problem, n'est-ce pas? Isn't it so? Ah, vous êtes allé à Paris hier. You went to Paris hier, n'est-ce pas? Isn't it so? Pas trop. You can say, ah, did it rain yesterday? A-t-il plu hier? A-t-il plu hier? You can say, the answer is, pas trop, not too much. Pas encore is not yet. Jacques est déjà arrivé. Is Jack already there? Pas encore, not yet. So, I repeat for the last time, pourquoi pas, pas vraiment, pas du tout, pas de problème, n'est-ce pas, pas trop, pas encore. But pas encore, you can also do a liaison. Pas encore, pas encore. So, no person is basically no one or not anyone. Like, je ne vois personne dans le stade. I don't see anybody in the stadium. Le stade is the stadium. We have learned this word when we were talking about sports in our previous lessons. Ne rien is nothing, nothing or not anything. Il n'y a rien dans ce sac. There is nothing in this bag. Il n'y a rien dans ce sac. So, today we are doing a complete revision of all the negative making words and sentences and expressions in French. So, no jamais is never. Il n'y a jamais de fumée sans feu. There is never smoke without fire. So, it is an idiom. You can always use it. Il n'y a jamais de fumée sans feu. No plus. No longer or not anymore. Je n'habite plus à Chennai. I don't live in Chennai anymore. Ne plus is no longer or not anymore. The example is je n'habite plus à Chennai. Ne aucun means not any. Like je ne connais aucun bon magasin ici. I don't know any good shop here. Je ne connais aucun bon magasin ici. Aucun is a word you might be learning for the first time. So, aucun is also used to say not any. But if the subject is feminine, like for this example, je ne connais aucun bon magasin, aucun is because magasin is masculine. But if je ne connais aucune belle, je n'ai aucune belle robe dans l'armoire. I have not any beautiful robe, means dress, in the almirah or in the cupboard. So, in that case, robe is feminine, so aucun becomes aucune. So, I'll just repeat, ne jamais, ne plus, ne aucun. So, these are other three words or the negative making words that we have learned. In negative questions, which are rather uncommon, the subject of the question in French has to be a pronoun, so the structure is always the same. Did you get me? In negative questions, so when you ask a question in negation, in that case, what happens is like you have to put the pronoun, the subject of the question has to be a pronoun. So, like, n'avez-vous pas fini d'écrire votre roman? Haven't you finished writing your novel? Ne voulez-vous pas profiter de cette œuvre? Don't you want to make the most of this offer? N'a-t-il pas d'amis parmi les camarades de sa classe? Doesn't he have any friends among his classmates? So, in all these cases, you have seen the pronoun has to be there, and in negation, you cannot ask a question without a subject. If a noun subject is required, the noun precedes the pronoun, but unlike English, the pronoun cannot be omitted when an interrogative verb structure is used. For example, hasn't the director finished speaking? How do you say this word in French? Le directeur n'a-t-il pas fini de parler? N'a-t-il pas fini de parler? So, the director, but again the pronoun has to be used, n'a-t-il pas fini de parler? So, the negation on the subject. Personne n'a eu la bonne réponse. So, the way we can use pas encore, de rien, rien and personne can also be used as the subject, and so will be the case for rien. Like, personne n'a eu la bonne réponse. Nobody or no one got the right answer. Nobody or no one got the right answer. Rien n'est plus facile. Nothing is easier. Rien n'est plus facile. Nothing is easier. So, now we are going to do a few examples. For example, somebody asks you, like examples in terms of exercise. So, somebody asks you, que penses-tu de cette robe? What do you think about this dress? So, here when you give an answer, elle means cette robe. So, which one do you choose? Ne or in apostrophe? Me plaît pas or plus or pas. So, que penses-tu de cette robe? Elle ne me plaît pas. Why pas? Because I don't like it. It's not that I don't like it anymore. Next example, Isabelle est étonnée. Étonnée is surprised. Isabelle est étonnée. Elle n'a non or in apostrophe jamais or plus vu un baobab. Do you know what is baobab? Baobab is a tree that actually comes from Africa, and baobab is perhaps the oldest surviving tree on planet. So, baobabs are huge, and you can always do an online search on baobab. Isabelle est étonnée, and she has never seen a baobab. So, how do you say she has never seen or she never saw? Elle ne apostrophe in apostrophe, elle n'a jamais is used for never. So, elle n'a jamais vu un baobab. The next example, il ne or in apostrophe, il a pas or personne dans cette maison, means there is nobody in this house. So, how do you say there is nobody in this house? Il n'y, n apostrophe y, because as we know, n apostrophe for A-E-I-O-U-Y and for H silent N-I ne becomes n apostrophe. So, il n'y a personne dans cette maison. Je ne or n apostrophe, aime, pas or personne, les bonbons. You know what is bonbon. Bonbon is lozenge. So, je n'aime pas or personne. Personne is for people, nobody. So, bonbon is an object. So, what you want to say is that I don't like lozenges. So, in that case, you would say, je n'aime pas les bonbons. Tu parles trop vite. Tu parles trop vite means you speak very fast. Je ne or n apostrophe comprends rien or personne. So, think. Tu parles trop vite, you speak very fast. I don't understand anything. So, as you know, already comprend starts with C. So, it will be je ne, not n apostrophe. It will be je ne comprends, then nothing. So, rien is nothing and personne is nobody. So, je ne comprends rien. So, you see with these things, slowly we are getting into such words which actually gives us a better way of speaking French. So, now we are going to do a few more exercise just to make sure that you get the point. Je n'aime plus Théo. So, how do you translate je n'aime plus Théo? Théo is name of a person and it's a masculine name. It's a boy's name or it's a man's name. So, je n'aime plus Théo means I don't love Théo anymore, or I no longer love Théo, or I love Théo no more. So, you see in French the word ne plus has different variations in English. So, anytime, so you have to understand that when you are using ne plus, there is this thing that you used to do that thing before. Means at some point of time, I loved Théo, but today I don't. So, I don't love Théo anymore. Je n'aime plus. And if you have to say that I don't like Théo or I don't love Théo at all, then you say je n'aime pas Théo. So, this is a very minute difference between pas and plus. Now, il ne nage plus le lundi. Il ne nage plus le lundi. He doesn't swim on Mondays anymore. That means there was a time he used to swim on Mondays. So, il ne nage plus le lundi. So, you understand again, it is a question of a thing that you used to do and now you don't do it anymore. Les oiseaux ne viennent plus dans cet arbre. The birds don't come in this tree anymore or any longer. That means, les oiseaux venaient or the oiseaux, the birds used to come to this tree before and they don't come anymore. Les oiseaux ne viennent plus dans cet arbre. No, actually you have to also understand when we speak in French, at times no disappears. Like ce n'est pas becomes c'est pas. Je ne sais rien, you say j'en sais rien. Je n'y vais pas, j'y vais pas. So, this is a very special case that you have to remember in informal French or in spoken form, ne is often dropped. C'est pas vrai means it's not true. You don't say ce n'est pas vrai. You can also say ce n'est pas vrai, but usually in speech we don't use ce n'est pas vrai, we say c'est pas vrai. Je ne sais rien becomes j'en sais rien. Je n'y vais pas becomes j'y vais pas. Negation in the passé composé. So, this is something which you have to be very careful about, because normally when we do negation in present tense, it is wrapped around the verb. But in case of passé composé, put ne pas around the auxiliary, means the helping verb. For example, I didn't eat, you say je n'ai pas mangé, and you don't say je n'ai mangé pas. That is wrong. So, the auxiliary verb is a, so you say je n'ai pas mangé. This is due to the fact that pas comes after the verb in present tense, je ne mange pas. Often we tend to do this mistake. So, you have to remember in negation, in passé composé, the negation goes around, the negation is wrapped around the auxiliary verb and not the participe passé. I repeat, j'ai mangé and je n'ai pas mangé. J'ai mangé, and the correct way of doing the negation is je n'ai pas mangé. Then je n'ai pas parlé means I did not speak. Je n'ai pas parlé. Ils n'ont pas voyagé. They did not travel. Ils n'ont pas voyagé. Il n'est pas venu means he did not come. Il n'est pas venu. So in each of these cases, you see that je n'ai pas parlé. So the auxiliary verb est, the auxiliary in the second case ont, ils ont voyagé, and ils n'ont pas voyagé. And in the last case, the auxiliary verb is être because it's venir. So il n'est pas venu means he did not come. So with this, we are coming to another bigger problem in negation and passé composé. Because already from the present tense, when you go to passé composé in negation, you have to keep it in mind that you have to put no, pas or the negative making words wrapped around the auxiliary, but for reflexive verbs. You remember the reflexive verbs. The reflexive verbs are like, for example, je m'appelle, s'appeler is a reflexive verb. We have done several lessons separately on reflexive verb. So, for reflexive verbs in the present tense, wrap ne pas around the verb and the reflexive pronoun. For example, I get up in affirmative is je me lève, and me is the reflexive pronoun and it means to myself. Hence, to negate, the ne pas goes around me. That means je ne me lève pas. Je ne me lève pas. Remember this thing. So, the negation actually is coming every time immediately after the subject. So, je ne me lève pas, and when you say that, you want to say that he isn't shaving these days. Il ne se rase pas. Or you want to say she is not putting up makeup she is not putting makeup, or she is not putting makeup anymore. So, if you want to say she is not putting makeup, then you say elle ne se maquille pas, and if you want to say she isn't putting up makeup anymore, then elle ne se maquille plus. So, you have to remember that in reflexive verb, when you are doing a negation, it is coming around, you are actually wrapping around ne, then the reflexive pronoun me, te, se, nous, vous or ce as per the subject, and then the verb, then comes the ending of the negation. For reflexive verb in the passé composé, put ne pas around the reflexive pronoun and the auxiliary verb. For example, je me suis lavé. Je me suis lavé means I washed myself. For the passé composé, ne pas goes around the auxiliary verb suis and the past participle. That means je ne me suis pas lavé. Remember, je ne me suis pas lavé. So, every time remember, it might be easier way to learn that just immediately after the subject we put a ne, but in case of passé composé, pas or plus or the ending negation word comes between the auxiliary and the participe passé. Il ne s'est pas blessé means he did not get injured. Il ne s'est pas blessé. Elle ne s'est pas levée means she did not get up. Elle ne s'est pas levée. Ils ne se sont pas promenés. They did not take a walk. Ils ne sont pas promenés. So you see, every time you are putting the first negation making like ne between the subject and the reflexive pronoun, and the ending negative or negation making word goes before the participe passé and after the auxiliary. With this, we are coming to the end of this very difficult yet very easy lesson on negation making words. So, we have learned a wide range of things, how you can say in speaking, how you can drop ne, how you can say pourquoi pas, de rien, rien, personne. So, what I would suggest you that today after this lesson you go through the entire expressions that we have learned and try to use these negation forms in different contexts. So, for example, never, not anymore, not yet, all these words you imagine and you write down, and do not forget, try to write them in present tense, and since we have done also passé composé, try to do also in passé composé. That way it will be much easier for you to find out when to use which negation making expression or phrases. So, with that, je vous souhaite bon courage, bonne continuation, à la prochaine et au revoir.